evening of your time as you create time to exist. Allow us to begin this interaction, this evening of your time, with the idea which may be entitled communication. Now, in these interactions, in these co-created events, we have discussed many times the idea of the identification of the vibration that is necessary in order for these interactions to occur. We have discussed the idea that every being, every consciousness is a frequency. And in order to be able to communicate with another being, with another consciousness, or that which you would colloquially refer to as another being or another consciousness, you must be somewhere within the range of frequencies that is similar to the frequency they are operating on, or you cannot even perceive each other within the idea that you have created there to be different universes. You have therefore created these different universes to be different by the fact that they are operating on different frequencies. Everything is made out of the same one energy, but different frequencies of that energy create what you perceive to be, from your point of view, different universes, different realms, different levels of existence and expressions of consciousness. So in order for these interactions to happen between, as you say, one level and another level, there must be some form of identification, some form of recognition, some matching of patterns between the two ideas, so that some common ground, as you say, is laid, some common foundation, some cohesive atmosphere in which both ideas can intermesh, interact, and link to form a common understanding of perception and, if you wish, procedure to these communications. Now, we have discussed that this identification, or at least one of the strongest ways to manifest this identification, is simply through the auspices of what you call unconditional love. Because love, what you call love, is, quote-unquote, the prime substance of creation. It is the energy out of which all is manifested. When we speak of the idea of love, we may refer to this idea from many different points of view and approach it from many different directions. But fundamentally, as always, just as a reminder, we have perceived that from time to time, many of you will hear this word love, and you will think we are discussing some old, nice and wonderful philosophy. Some nice way it would be to exist, some perhaps preferential attitude, but it is more than that. It is these, but it is more than that. When we are discussing the idea of unconditional love, we are actually speaking of it as if it is a material, a substance, a tangible thing. Because to us, it is. Everything that you call solid matter, everything that you call energy and radiant light is love, a version of the material you call love. It is the prime core, the prime energy, the prime etheric substance out of which everything is crystallized, solidified, including what you call non-physical energy. It is a primal substance, far more basic than even what you would call energy in its most basic form. Because what you call energy is still your translation in physical terms, your ability to interact in physical terms with that prime substance, which I will not simply call energy, since that may be in your terms confusing. It is existence itself, the very, if you wish, fabric, the very structure, the very idea of existence itself, the pulse, the frequency of creation itself is love. Therefore, if you wish to bridge any differences that you have created there to be between one realm and another, one dimension and another, the easiest way to do that is through the door of unconditional love, because that frequency, that vibration, in a sense, is the only thing that is common to all dimensions. Because it is what all dimensions and all beings in those dimensions are fundamentally made out of. No matter how they choose to express it, no matter what limitations they choose to put on it, it all can be melted back down into the primal substance called love. So the easiest way for any of you to create communication among yourself, to truly understand each other, and be willing to recognize that each and every one of you is simply a different point of view, a different crystallization of the same substance of love. The sooner you are willing to use that unconditional love to open yourself in that way, the quicker you will be able to understand even what may seem to be the most radical differences and perspectives and points of view upon your planet. You may not necessarily agree or prefer to manifest in your own life another's point of view, but you will understand it. And understanding is the key. For when you can understand why all have the point of view that they do, how that point of view originated, what particular specifications someone may be creating to define that point of view, you can always get at the root of meaning, the meaning you have placed into the creations in your life. And when you get at the root of meaning, the root of definition, then you can unlock those definitions if it serves you to do so. You can exchange and trade and examine these definitions for the tools that they are. For because of what you have created your society to be, many of the definitions you originally created to represent certain perspectives have become locked into the circumstances themselves, and that's why many of you think that now the situations that occur in your life come with built-in meaning when they actually originally have no built-in meaning at all, when they are neutral and blank to begin with. Only because you have restricted the ability to recognize the tool for what it is, do you assume that there can be no understanding, that you cannot meet eye to eye, that you cannot in that way agree. To disagree in loving ways. It can be done. Each and every one of you could create a completely different preferential experiential reality from anyone else. That does not mean you have to have war. It does not mean you have to have pain. It does not mean you have to have disease. Just because you prefer this and they prefer that. If you begin to recognize that the crux and the seed of all communication is in, first of all, knowing that everyone else is simply another point of view equal to you. And if you are willing to examine the whys and the wherefores of that point of view through love, then any point of view can be changed, can be altered, can be integrated with any other point of view in a way that allows each to gain the effect each desires from that interaction. Regardless of what anyone brings into an interaction with you, whatever your preferences are will determine what effect you get out of it. But you can still allow the interaction. Because only by being open to all forms of communication do you then give yourself the ability to assess what you are and what you are not. But also then, and only then, do you create the ability to live in peace with all other points of view. And only then do you create the ability to surround yourself and fill your world, the world you prefer, with the reflections and the experiences that are representative of the point of view you prefer most strongly in your life. Therefore, fundamentally, the why of why we communicate with you is simply because we love you. And the how of how we communicate with you in this way is also because we love you. That is always the why and the how of any communication that takes place. Remember that when you find yourself perhaps disagreeing with someone, the very fact that you can even perceive their point of view at all means on some level you are identifying with them. Proceed from that point of view, and anything you would call a discrepancy will clear itself up. If you trust that on some fundamental level, you are simply different expressions of the same thing. The same one thing. Does your left eye argue with your right? It takes both to give you the depth of vision that allows you to experience the three-dimensionality of your world. We thank you. And at this timing, in exchange for the gift of your willingness to share with us the love that you are, I ask you now, how may I serve you?